for you today is, as you can see behind me, is this stunning B7 Audi RS4. This was the second generation of the RS4s, and the example I've got here with me today is absolutely pucker. Honestly, this thing is great. Fair play to its owner and the previous owners and whoever's done all the work to this car. It's such a immaculate and such a great car. Yeah, so what we'll do is I'll take you for a little walk around the actual car just to show you guys what's been done to it, what it feels like and what the whole thing is all about, and then we'll go for a drive and just to give you guys a feel of what it actually drives like. And I must admit, it drives absolutely immense. It drives perfect. So I hope you enjoy the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Performance Lifestyles. Check us out on Instagram, Performance_Lifestyles, and we're on Facebook as well, Performance Lifestyles. So we'll catch you on the outside of the car. So here it is, this absolutely stunning Audi RS4. So we'll start off here on the front. As you can see, it's all completely, on the outside it looks completely standard. The grille and these little vents at the bottom have been painted gloss black. The wheels have been painted gloss black. And it's got the Audi of this standard, the modification that a lot of people do is the black Audi hoops. And it does improve the actual look of the car. It goes quite well, I'd say, the black and the silver bluey sort of paintwork on this car. I wanted one of these many years ago, and now having the opportunity to drive this and video this for the channel for you guys to see is, it feels like such a blessing, and I hope you enjoy the actual content. We've got, like I mentioned, we've got plenty of videos uploaded on our YouTube channel already, so please do feel free to check out the other Audi RSs we've got on there, and just general the other cars that we've got on there. The whole suspension setup on it is completely standard. I believe it does come with the optional sports pack, which comes with lowering springs as standard. So the actual ride height on it is slightly lower than a non-sports one. And it also has the other bits as well, which I'll talk about when we go inside the car. The biggest noticeable feature on these cars was these actual arches. I mean, look at them, they flare out quite a lot. Now this car it's had a few little modifications. So the gloss black styling on the front, the rear diffuser has been painted gloss black as well, and it's got a quad. Normally they come with a dual oval sort of looking exhaust system, but this has got a quad exhaust, two on each side, and it is a stainless steel exhaust system. So it, as you can imagine, the 4.2 litre V8 naturally aspirated engine sings along nicely. It purrs nicely even on idle. So under the bonnet then, this is the heart of this monstrous car. It's a 4.2 litre V8 naturally aspirated engine. Obviously there's one half and there's the other, and it's just such a massive, I mean, I'll step back a bit so you can see in comparison to the actual whole engine bay, there's not that much space left to actually do anything else underneath here. It is quite simply just fill, the engine is filling up this bay. Normally you get cars we've got like a massive gap here, but this engine is such a fantastic piece. It's an all aluminium block, so, and it produces a standard out the factory, it's 414 brake horsepower. But with this car, it's been remapped. It's had the carbon Decoked done to it, which is a must-have on these cars. They lost a lot of power when all the inlet, I think it's the inlet side of things, the manifolds got coked up. So, and that's not the drug, they got coked up, and they were just, the power figures were, even as little as anything like 350 horsepower. So a lot of people's RS4s that feel really sluggish, that is the reason why. They need a decoke and the map setting up on them again, and it makes a massive difference. This thing, it sings all the way to 8,500 RPM, and the noise it makes is, well, perfect. Honestly, you'll hear it on the drive, and if you've already had one of these or you've had any experience with one of these, you'll know what I'm talking about. So they've got the carbon fiber cover there. I'm not too sure what it's covering, but it's there, and a carbon fiber cover here. The red rockers are actually a big thing for me. I think they make the whole engine bay look so much better. Some cars, they're black, or they're just covered, the newer cars especially, they're covered with a plastic trim, and I think it kind of like, it does snazzy them up, but the moment your trim comes off or you take the actual cover off, they look a bit ropey. But no, these are actually, this is how it is. it's very difficult to actually, you know, to believe this car is 15 or 16 years old. It is immaculate in every single way. It drives absolutely perfect, it sounds absolutely perfect, and the interior is very, very good. The note of the car and everything is actually telling you to, yes, come on then, give me some more. So like I said, it's very difficult to, the newer cars don't actually rev to these sort of rev RPM, and this one's on, you know, 9,000 there, but it'll rev to 8.5, and I believe that is because it's been remapped. A standard, I think they're about 8,200 RPM, but it is still, even in standard form, such a mega car. If you're a petrol head and you've been into your VW Audi group cars, an RS4 you can tell from a mile off, but to any normal average Joe who doesn't know much about cars, it is just an old Audi A4, which they're quite wrong about because it's completely different to a standard A4. The RS4s obviously have the honeycomb grille, which is what the RS Audis are very, very well renowned for, and these B7 RS4s have very flared out arches, which you don't quite get on the normal Audi A4s. Again, bi-xenon headlights are standard. The honeycomb grille and these actual grills at the bottom here have been painted gloss black, so I think it kind of like, it does improve the overall appearance of this car. But again, that is just my personal opinion. The wheels, these are the standard 19-inch alloy wheels. Fantastic set of wheels. These, back in the days, were put on everything VW Audi. Replicas, a lot of the times. They did look good, but these were, you know, specifically designed for the B7 RS4. And look at them, I mean, they look mega. Especially with the way the car sits, the whole ride, the whole actual stance of this car. It's just such an awesome sort of car. And again, the standard, this doesn't have the ceramics. You do get the ceramics as an optional extra on these cars, but you can still see, I mean, the 6-spot caliper there is massive. And I know the brake discs on these cars are the best part of about £2,000 to buy. So if you're looking for one, make sure they've been done. And I think they have on this. They were done probably about 2,000 miles ago. And just in case people behind you don't know what car you're driving, you've got the RS4 logo as well. And these also have this little, it's built into the actual body and the actual shape of the car. It's like a little lip, like a spoiler. It's almost like a very miniature ducktail style spoiler. Looks very good. There's the flared arches again, just from a different angle. And honestly, when you look at these cars in the flesh, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So if you've ever had one or had any experience with one, you'll know exactly what I mean. They just look so impressive. And this one comes with the complimentary Performance Lifestyles decal. So do check us out on our social media accounts. So these mirrors, again, actually, these were bespoke to the RS4. They've got like this little gap in the middle here. I believe if anybody from 2 decades ago was actually into your E36 M3s, they had very similar sort of these sort of things on their mirrors. They were very good to look at, but they were absolutely rubbish to look out of. But the RS4 mirrors are slightly wider and longer, so you do get a very good vision when you're when you're looking in your rearview mirror. So, and again, obviously the RS4 door sort of mouldings on them as well, so people walking past your car when it's parked up know exactly it's an RS4. Right, onto the interior. Standard RS4 steering wheel. It's got the RS4 logo both at the bottom. Silver aluminium trim here and here. I believe these are plastic or coated in something to look like aluminium. Carbon fibre. This one's got the carbon fibre. So this one's got the carbon fibre inlays on the dashboard, on the doors, and on the actual center console here around the gear surround. Push button start. But with these, they're not keyless or anything. It's got the conventional key. You turn the key and then press the button, like very similar to like the Honda S2000s, but I think that was a thing of that era. And the biggest noticeable feature on this car is these wingback RS4 seats. I mean, just check them out. These things are perfect. RS4 logo embossed on them, on both of them. And I mean, just look at that. That thing is just mega. With it having sports, optional sports pack as well, these RS4 seats are actually adaptive. So as soon as you put it into sports mode off the steering wheel, the bolsters go in, and I mean, I'll show you. You might be able to notice it, might not, but it's you can certainly notice it when you're sitting inside the car. No, it's probably not very good. Oh, there's a little movement there. You can probably see that ever so slightly. But when you're sitting in them, you can actually feel it. It feels like almost the car's just gripping you and just giving you that extra sense of security and confidence to plant it around bends. It's got the legendary Audi Quattro four-wheel drive system, so as you can imagine, it handles absolutely perfect. So again, standard Bose sound system, which was an Audi thing from that era. Now I think they've moved on to Bang & Olufsen, is it? And then your infamous dials. You've got 200 miles an hour on the clocks here. I'm not sure what sort of top speed that they'll do. And then 9,000 RPM here. These cars will rev to, I mean, this example here will go to about 8,500 RPM. 8,500 RPM, 4.2 V8, naturally aspirated engine, and it sings such an amazing tune. Such an amazing tune. Honestly, it's very difficult to explain, but you'll hear it on the drive and you'll know exactly what I mean. So, and the other option this car does also have is a fully tilt and slide sunroof. So it's a good, yeah, it's a good feature. Back in them days, there wasn't really much of a panoramic roof thing going on, so you'd never really come across many of them. But you know, tilt and slide sunroofs were an option from 15, 16 years ago, so they're a good option, to be fair. And you don't get these with a pan roof anyway. So the newer models, I think, do come with a pan roof, but these, it was, as far as as the biggest hole in the roof you're going to get is the actual tilt and slide sunroof. So obviously, unless you go for a convertible, which these cars are available in the saloon, like this example here, the Avant, which is the Estate, and the convertible. The convertibles are very, as with every convertible car, they have that scuttle shake, as they call it, and it's almost like you could feel the chassis on the car flexing, which is a standard thing, to be fair. It's half a car, half a chassis, so you're going to get a little bit of a flex in them. And a lot of enthusiasts weren't particularly keen on the RS4 convertibles, but again, each to their own. If you want a fast, awesome sounding car from 15 years ago and it's an RS4 that you've chose, then you want a convertible, fair play to you, go for it, because they sound mega. The handling is compromised ever so slightly, but you've still got a Quattro four-wheel drive system in them. 60-40 split, I believe it is. 60 to the back, 40 to the front. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with these. And with these, just to keep the weight down, it was as mentioned before, it's a all aluminium engine block, aluminium bonnet, aluminium wings, and this is all in the name of saving weight. And as everybody knows, these Audi, VW, anything German particularly, they weigh quite a lot. So just to keep the actual weight down, the RS4, the B7 RS4s came with aluminium wings and bonnet. So again, it's another feature of the car. It's got heated seats and dual climate control, which again was a standard feature on these cars, and an armrest, which I believe on this car is aftermarket, because the leather on here is completely different to the leather here. But again, it's still a nice feature. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far, and what we'll do is we'll go for a little drive just to give you guys a feel of what this thing drives like, sounds like. And yeah, honestly, you need to hear this thing on chat. It sounds perfect. It sounds amazing almost. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, and what we'll do is we'll catch you on the actual drive. So here we are, guys, back in this Audi RS4, and there's a lot of traffic around, so I'll try covering as much as I can do in these conditions. And just from there, it's the exhaust on this car, it's got a back box delete, and I think the resonators have been deleted as well, so it's still got the cats in place, so it's all MOT friendly. But the noise that this thing makes is just mega. It is very difficult to find my sun visor. This is it's another one of them cars that you're almost guaranteed to get a smile put on your face every time you drive it. It's a car from 15 years ago. I've wanted one of these cars. I always wanted, I think it's a B5, is it? The 2.7 twin turbo, the original RS4. But I think they were just, at the time I wanted one, they were too much and couldn't quite afford to buy one. And then kind of like forgot about them. And then when these RS4s were released, and it was like, wow. They had that wow factor to them. But bearing in mind, this is from 2005/6. So the 4.4 litre V8, and you hear all these, you know, these Top Gear reviews, and they were just immense cars. The four-wheel drive system, again, it adds to the whole character of a performance Audi. You're not really, there are no performance Audis out there without the Quattro four-wheel drive system. And now I believe with this RS4, it's a 60-40 split, and unless the car detects a bit of slip and then it pushes power around to each damper or something, and I think that's something to do with the DRC suspension setup. This has still got the standard suspension, DRC suspension, that were known to be problematic at times. But on this one, Lamborghini Urus. But on this one, it's perfectly fine. There's no leaks from the shock absorbers. There's no funny noises, knocks, bangs. And all you've got to listen to is that note. It's just... It's a mega noise. This car produces such an amazing noise. And we're not in sports mode yet, so the throttle response isn't as sharp. On the standard exhaust system, when you put it into sports mode, I believe they have a valved system where it opens up the valve and it starts to sound a bit louder and a bit gruntier. But with this one having the aftermarket exhaust, it sounds gruntier than it should do all the time. Perfect touch for a V8. We'll put it in sports mode here. I'm in 5th, I'll drop it to 4th. I can feel the seat starting to hug me now as soon as you put it into sports, and just from 4th gear, and it's almost, it pulls you back in your seat. It honestly is very difficult to explain, but this thing is mega. The pull that you get from this car, and this is in, I'm not even in lower down in the gears, this is, I'm in 5th gear now, and it just pulls you back in your seat, and the throttle response is completely different to it being in non-sports mode. It sharpens it up massively. Give it some off the mark. It's from... Oh, the noise is absolutely mega. Now I've driven quite a few of the cars, so there's a lot to compare them to. But if you've never driven anything else and you jump into one of these Audi RS4s, you will love it even more. I've never driven a standard car, so can't really compare it to a standard car. But this modified car with a stage 1 remap, custom exhaust system, sounds absolutely perfect. Here we go again. With this exhaust, it almost sounds like a Formula 1 car. I bet the neighbours aren't too impressed first thing in the morning, but when you hear this thing from the outside, I bet it's just absolutely amazing. Even inside the car, the only thing I've got open is a bit of the sunroof, and it sounds absolutely awesome. Another key word for this one is awesome. This RS4 is just mega. So the whole driving position on this thing is spot on. these bucket seats do such a fantastic job of holding you in, and more so when it gets put into sports mode. And like I mentioned, this car has the optional sports pack, so suspension slightly lower, and the bucket seats, which is what these cars were well renowned for, well known for. Actually, the bolsters actually enclose in as soon as you put it in sports mode, and when you take it out of sports mode, they open up again, and you can feel it on your back and on your legs. So it's a very good feature. And when you're actually driving these spiritedly, you need to be held inside your seat. So, and like I said, these seats are perfect. A lot of these Audi RS4s were stolen back in the days purely because of their seats, or what people did start doing was just nicking the seats out of these cars. And there's a lot of these that were written off as Cat Ds, I believe they were back in them days, purely because of the seats. And now I believe the seats were about £7,000 per seat from Audi. So the insurers decided it's probably just a bit more economical just to write them off, rather than waiting for the seats to be made or delivered or whatever and then put back into the car. So there's a lot of these that are out there as damage repaired cars, but they weren't actually damage repaired, they were just stolen seats. These cars were very hot back in them days, very hot. And these seats are, you know, perfect. And I can see why people wanted them, but obviously they weren't the right channels to get a pair of these. This car feels very lively. Very lively. The throttle response is perfect. The whole drive on this car is perfect. The steering is very accurate. It's not as accurate as the cars of nowadays, but I believe these had, don't quote me on this, but these were like a mechanical steering rack as opposed to an electronic one. And the fact that these cars are, you know, 15, 16 years old, technology has moved on since then, so steering on a lot of these newer cars is very pinpoint accurate. When you're comparing the steering on this to like a Mitsubishi Evo, I'd say the Evo is far more accurate than this, but for a German car of yesteryear, absolutely perfect. If these cars weren't so juicy, so thirsty, I think everybody would drive them around just anything above 3,500 RPM all day. Every time you jump into one, the standard thing was you can't go below 3,000 RPM purely because of that noise. That V8 grumble is so good. Anything V8, to be fair, sounds good. The AMGs have their own distinct sort of noise, the Audis have their own distinct noise, and the BMWs have their own distinct noise. And then obviously when you go on to your American muscle sort of cars, they have their own noise. I mean, any V8 sounds good. That's the truth of the matter. They all sound good. But like I mentioned, this thing almost reminds me of like the E92 M3 V8. The moment you let off the throttle, it lets off a couple of little crackles. There's no pops and bangs map on this thing, and I don't think it was a very popular thing back in them days on these Audis. But this thing does still do it, and I think it's purely down to the exhaust system on the car. So these cars did have a few issues, and to be fair, they still exist to this day. So it's always worthwhile just looking out for a few things when you're looking to buy one of these. And what I will do is I'll put up a little video on our channel of what to look out for on these things, purely because they do have a few expensive faults that do need looking out for if you're looking to buy one. So do watch that as well. It'll be uploaded on the channel very soon. So here we've got a tunnel coming up. So I say tunnel, it's just like a little bridge, the usual one. You'll hear the V8 thing on this. That noise, mega. I love it. So then folks, I'm going to conclude the video on that note. I hope you've enjoyed the actual video. It was just a brief one again, just to give you guys a feel of what this actual car sounds like with the exhaust and the remap. And I'm not disappointed in it in any way, shape or form. It looks good, it sounds good, and it goes very, very well. And like I mentioned, it almost wants you to, oh, there's the Lamborghini Urus again. it wants you to floor it, especially in sports mode. It's almost asking for you to just give it some, and it's... So I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Performance Lifestyles. Check us out on Instagram, performance_lifestyles, and we're on Facebook as well, Performance Lifestyle. So please do check us out. We've got a fair few videos uploaded on our channel already, so hopefully there's something on there for everybody. And we've got plenty of content to come, so please do watch out. Click on that bell notification just so you know when we've uploaded a new video. And as per usual, everybody, stay safe, and we will catch you on the next video.